Everyone, today's video we're going to be talking about the ML5s that are available through the Milestone of Radiance system that was just recently added into Epic 7. So I've gone ahead and uh, filled out the units that basically cannot be selected for this. I believe they said it's up to ML Taeyou. So basically any units available here will be on this list. So yeah, let's just get started. We'll go through this list of units here. Starting with Zio. I think Zio is a very powerful unit. He's uh, primarily good in RTA. His passive is uh, essentially he gets to take first turn, and I don't think that can be underestimated. It balances out things like speed. So if I had to put him in a tier, I'd probably put him in S, just simply because his passive to force you to take the first turn is very, very OP. So I'll put him up here for S tier. Next one we have here is Taeyou. Taeyou's okay. He's obviously a big damage dealer, but he needs to be paired with CR pushers, so things like ML Poly. His best friend is Zio. So I'll kind of put him in the B tier for now, just because I think he's kind of niche. He can't be picked as reliably as other units. He's useless without certain combo units, and he's also really bad into certain things like ML Poly, for example, which completely disables his passive. Next, we have Sage Vivian. I don't think Sage Vivian is very good these days, especially in RTA. She's kind of fallen off. She doesn't do enough damage. She doesn't cycle fast enough. And one of her passives, obviously, is can't be debuffed, but she doesn't do enough, even though she ignores debuffs, to make her worth picking over another unit in the current meta. TML is pretty good. I think this unit, I wouldn't recommend her to new players unless you really like her design. Um, she's, you know, kind of a premium gear unit. She can be used as an opener if you have really fast DPS gear, but overall, her use case is kind of just performing extinction. It's very niche because for the average player, you're not going to have gear to set her up properly for success. Kayron, I think he's okay, but to be honest, he's rarely used these days. His passive, obviously will do a bunch of fixed damage over time, but in most games, it's rare to find a scenario where you'd want him over something else. ML Shu, I think ML Shu has also fallen off, sadly. The meta has kind of evolved to be too fast paced for her, and she doesn't do enough tempo and damage to keep up with some of the more modern units. Strays, I think Strays is actually quite good these days still. He's good for PvE as well. He just does a ton of damage, obviously, when he gets a turn, especially in an aggro playstyle. He's often used as like a 4 or 5 slot in RTA when the enemy is kind of tanking down and you're guaranteed a turn with him. And he's often a must ban, so I would put him up in that A tier. Spirit Eye Celine, she's also quite good. Again, kind of a niche pick in RTA. He recently got buffed to do a ton of damage with her first Soulburn S1, so she does see some RTA play. So I'll put her in A just because, I consider her quite viable. Spectre Tenebria, she's not good anymore. They did try to rework her, but her rework arguably made her worse. I know a lot of people used to recommend her for PvE content, but if we're talking purely PvP, I don't recommend this unit right now. Solitaria, she's usable, but she's quite niche as well. Pretty much the only time you're going to pick her is if you're fighting something like um, the Summer Flan to disable her passive. So I'll just put her in D because it's kind of rare for her to be picked. You can't pick her in any use case that you want normally. So I don't think she sees much play these days. Silverblade Araminta, I think she's still good. She's commonly paired with a fast opener stripper, things like Briar, Luna, etc. She can single-handedly win you a lot of games paired with the right openers. C Poly, I mean, C Poly is very good. Obviously needs a lot of speed gear. If you can build a really fast one, I know a lot of the top players in Legend have 320 polys, which is kind of an automatic win button if you can get that. So she's pretty good. She got buffed even further because of the Awakened Leaf artifact, which I think is Saria's, which pushes your backline by 24%. So essentially, with her S3 pushing back, plus the CR push from the artifact, you can guarantee your DPS or someone on your team taking a turn, which is pretty huge. So I'll put her up there in A tier. Sage Ball, he's usable, anti-aggro, obviously. The problem is he's kind of awkward to play these days because there's so much CR push on some of these other aggro units. So he sees some play, but it's kind of rare. Ruele, I think this unit is busted. RTA especially, you can roach down with it. You can use it as an anchor for aggro games. We see a lot of her in RTA these days, especially last season and in the Masters Cup. So I think she's considered S tier. Requiem Rwana, she's another niche unit. She's usable, but it's kind of rare. Obviously, she takes her turn after your fast opener, but her main thing is obviously skill cooldown reset. So you kind of need a high F build. So she's niche, but she's usable. Remnant Violet, I think he's also in this D tier. You can't reliably pick this most games. There's just better things to pick. He does a lot of damage. He's cool, but he's just not good these days. Pirate Flan, yeah, I'd put her in the same category. She's usable with certain openers, but for the most part, she just doesn't do enough. Damage isn't there, so there's better picks out there. Opsig, I mean, Opsig, I don't think she's used very often these days. She needs high stats. Her damage is a little lackluster in most games unless you have kind of a perfect setup. So, for the most part, I don't recommend her for new people to get in the Milestone of Radiance. Luna, I think she's S tier. She's kind of been S tier ever since her release. Seal, unbuffable is kind of huge, especially on a fast opener who's also HP scaling. And she can also soul burn with a book to guarantee those debuffs. She's certainly good. You can use a lot of different builds. There's speed, there's tank builds. Overall, really powerful. Navy Captain Landy, yeah, she's also in this D tier. Not very good these days. There's too many counters of her and things that do basically more. If you pick her, you're kind of sitting there AFK praying she counters. But, for the most part, I think people use her nowadays for her buff stacking. So she gives her team anti-crit. So she's kind of a niche pick, but not great. Quirk, same kind of thing. He's kind of fallen off. He doesn't offer enough as a cleanser. And you could argue he doesn't do a good job at cleansing because some games you may want to hold it for one turn and he doesn't cycle fast enough. So I think he's fallen off. There's better cleansers out there. ML Ken, I think he's also fallen off. Kind of niche pick. There's nothing in today's meta that he's really good against. There's so much, damage mid or like can't exceed more than X damage type of units as DPS. So he's definitely fallen off a bit. He's not good in this meta. Maid Chloe, I mean, I don't think we see too much of her these days. She is usable, but obviously her big thing is the passive damage reduction. Sorry, from the fixed damage, I mean. So she's good into things like Renok to help sustain a bit against that. But overall, I think she sees low play, but she's definitely better than a lot of these other units down here. Para, I would also put probably in the C tier. I don't think she's used that often. She's kind of, she was one of the premium openers, but with things like Renok these days, this unit is unpickable into Renok. So, usable, but not as good as she used to be. Lone Crescent Bellona, I actually think she's quite good these days. She recently got buffed. I think she's particularly good into things like Belian if there's no Yoha. She's also one of the counters to Nodos, but I wouldn't say that's reliable. She's pretty good into Ross as well because she has injury stacks, um, as well as immunity on her S3. So I think she's usable compared to some of the other units. Charlotte's in D tier. She doesn't really do anything these days. She's very stat hungry, doesn't do enough damage. There's just better things to pick. Lionheart, I think she's niche. She's usable though. Uh, Certain games, you could try her against Setsuka, that kind of thing. But truth be told, it's still a gamble even on Symbol of Unity to hit some of these units. And then she's also really bad into, I think, Bellona as well as the new Biblis. She could essentially kill herself on her S3, which you don't want. Starter Crow, I think he's niche also. He's usable for sure into things like Belian. Um, I don't think he sees that much play, but you can also use him into free run for the crown effect to strip some of her souls. Judge Kise, I don't think she's very good these days. Just doesn't do enough, and you can't reliably soul burn her S2 because it requires 20 souls, and there's only a artifact for 10 for warriors. So she is kind of, you need a lot of stats. You need F, you need attack, crit damage. She's very hard to build, so I don't recommend her. Lua, I think she's also usable. Not the fastest these days. Obviously, her S3 with ignore ER is kind of huge, so I think she's usable. Harsetti, I think Harsetti's good. She's one of those units that kind of, I guess you could put her in the similar vein as Zio. Um, Someone that I guess maybe I would consider her more S. She can change the way people draft. Um, Obviously, again, taking or reducing everyone's speed is kind of a huge uh, burden on a lot of teams, especially if they pick vulnerable aggro units that rely on speed. This kind of effectively halves a lot of their gear and screws up the turn order. FCC, I think she's fallen off. I don't think anyone picks her anymore. I know they buffed her with the passive to reduce fixed damage, similar to Maid, but it's not enough. There's better knights out there, like Barunka. Politica, same thing, has fallen off. It's just a product of her time. Her base speed isn't high enough to contest modern openers, so I don't recommend her right now. Ludwig, I think he's also in that niche. Needs to be paired with book holders that soul burn. Like he's a combo unit, right? So Taeyou, Ludwig, Rowana. But I think he sees less play also because things like Ilynav exist. Ilynav, I think she's pretty good. Obviously, her big thing is her passive penres to your entire team. This can effectively neuter things like Ross, and actually cuts a lot of ML Iseria's damage as well. So certainly good in a lot of situations. And she also has a cleanse and self CR push, so those are both nice things. Haroon, she's niche, kind of fallen off. I don't think many people pick her these days, but people use her again, or they use her against GDR. You can use her to pair with Renok, but for the most part, I think people have moved on from her. Senya, same kind of thing. I think people have moved on from her. She did recently get a buff, but her main thing is just protecting the back line. It's kind of a sitting duck otherwise. She could be good in certain games like Harsetti, but overall, I don't think she's that impactful these days. Dilvet, I put her in C tier just because she's one of those debuffers that's good against cleavers. Things like a Briar, Silverblade Araminta, even Coley to some degree. This unit's pretty viable just to, protect yourself and get your team a turn. DJB, hardly used anymore. There's just not enough low HP units that are really stunted by his barrier strip. You could argue he's good into Airwell, but overall, I don't recommend taking him from this. DDR, I think he's also usable in certain games. He's kind of fallen off as well. It's a product of the time, but he's okay. Dark Corvus, I don't think he's very good these days. You can put him on the new Warfare set to get him an S3 immediately, but outside of that, nothing's really changed. Conqueror Lilius, yeah, I think she's kind of D tier. She's one of the older openers. He really requires top speed gear to use though, and a lot of people can't really afford to give her that just because her base speed is too low compared to modern openers. Commander Pavel, I'll put him here in B. He's also one of those combo units, but especially in the most recent Frenzy, there's like a Fighting Spirit one, so just one crit is enough to proc his S2. So he's super good, especially with Briar. Charles, I'll put him in D tier. He's just not good anymore. He's too slow, doesn't do enough damage compared to modern things, and there's just better options out there. Spez, same thing. Doesn't offer enough compared to other units on the table, so kind of a niche unit. Well, I'll put her in B tier. There's some games where enemy goes full debuff team where she kind of shines, like low DPS games, but overall, I think she's usable, but you need really good gear for her. Briar, I think Briar is an S tier unit. She's fast. She has anti-revive in her kit, as well as Death Break on S3, which combos with a lot of things. You can soul burn it, so she's definitely meta defining. Haste, I put him in D tier. He is also one of the OG units that was super good into aggro. Like when your units dies, he gets the barrier, he can revive, but he doesn't see that much play these days. Belian, I think Belian's S tier. She removes souls from the game for the enemy, so that's kind of huge, especially with 3F artifacts, things like Yulha. She's pretty strong companion with them. Ilynav, I don't think this unit's very good. Her damage is not great. She's just sitting there to prevent counters. Aika, this can be good to people tanking down. Your S2, S3 can kind of stink and do a ton of damage, so I think she's viable some games, but still hard to pick. Archdemon, I don't recommend people pick her anymore. She just doesn't offer enough, and her damage is quite low these days. Next one's Arby. I also think Arby is also in D tier. His famous thing is dying and reviving and doing a lot of damage. So it's okay, but it's very rare to have a game against someone that isn't tanky, or at least to some degree a little bit. AU Fiend, I don't see her picked as much these days. He's niche. That's CR. I'll put her in D tier for now. APOC, same thing. Just doesn't offer enough. And A Tywin, same thing. There's just better options for all of these in the current day and age. So I think this is kind of where I view everything right now. I think if I had to choose top 10 from this list, I would probably, I'm more RTA focused, so these are kind of like RTA picks in my mind. I would definitely take Belian and Zia if I don't have them. Luna for sure. I also think Belian is quite good to take, as well as Ruele. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. If Briar Witch is okay, but you really need speed gear for her to shine. So I actually don't recommend her for most folks unless you're a speed player. So yeah, this is 5 up top. This tier, I think C Poly is pretty good. Strays, Bellona, I think Ilynav are also good to have. So Ilynav, Bellona. I'd recommend Strays too. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're up to 8 units already. I guess you could take Poly as well. it up to 9. And then for the 10th unit, I think it's kind of a toss-up. You can kind of pick whatever you want from the list below. They're all kind of niche case units. This comes down to preference, but for me, I would personally pick honestly, probably I'd probably take Hwa here, just because she has a very specific use case against debuffs, which could save you in a lot of RT games. So, yeah, just to recap, I think the top 10 Zio, Luna, Harsetti, Belian, Ruele, Strays, Bellona, Ilynav, Poly, and then lastly Hwa. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. And yeah, hope you guys are able to take and get the units you love.